Okay, friends, welcome you all for yet another interesting session from Mr. Subhash. The time is now 3:08. We'll start officially the meeting. Thanks for all who have joined early and waited till time. Thank you very much. I welcome Subhash sir for this session, and thank you very much to kind enough to speak to our audience. I invite Subhash sir, and I like to introduce to the floor. Subhash UN is a financial life planner having a successful financial planning practice on fee-based advisory model in Chennai since 2008. He advises his clients on all aspects of financial planning, including mutual funds, insurance, tax planning, will writing, and investment in all asset classes. He has more than 2 decades of experience in the financial services domain. He is a physics graduate from Sri Satya Sai Institute of Higher Learning and certified financial planner from the Financial Planning Standards Board of India and a chartered trust and estate planner from the American Academy of Financial Management. It's a privilege and great to hear you, sir. He is a physics graduate. He has trained more than 1,000 people across India on various topics related to personal finance for corporates like Sundaram Group, Murugappa Group, the Hindu, banks like ICICI, SBI, RBS, HSBC, mutual fund houses like HDFC, Nippon, DSP, ICICI Prudential, Birla Sun Life, and Mahindra. Distribution companies like Bajaj Capital, Carvi, Funds India, SPA Capital, and many colleges in Chennai. He is an authorized education provider, the only one in Tamil Nadu for the CFP certification courses for the Financial Planning Standards Board in India, and also associated with the Life Underwriters Guild of India for all the financial planning related courses. Thank you very much, sir. And he co-authored the first book for the financial planning module of the CHFP course run by the Singapore-based certifying body APF in SA, Asia Pacific Financial Services Association in India. He was recently selected as a master trainer for the mutual funds module under the Nam Mudalvan project of the government of Tamil Nadu, delivered by the National Stock Exchange Academy. He is executive director for an international networking organization, BNI, for the Kanjipuram and Chengalpet districts, helping entrepreneurs from diverse business segments to increase their business multifold worldwide. He was correspondent of a nursery and primary school recognized by Tamil Nadu government for 10 years between 2003 and 12 in Chennai. He was also an associate professor at International College of Financial Planning for 3 years. He regularly writes in Tamil financial magazine Nanayam Vigadan. He strongly believes it is the responsibility of every good person to have financial abundance because money in the hands of the good makes prosperous society. Fantastic, sir. Thank you so much and welcome you to our Zoom session. And we'd like to have more from you. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Murali sir. Thanks for this invite, and it's my pleasure to be amongst our own friends. Namella Ore fraternity. So I believe we have people across the different states also. Yeah. So you want me to restrict to English, right?
Not hearing, sir.
Am I audible now?
Sir, you are audible. Go ahead.
Yeah. Murali sir, I just want to check with you that we have people across different states or only from Tamil Nadu?
Across India, sir.
Fine. So you want me to restrict predominantly to the English, right?
Yes, exactly, sir.
Okay, fine. By chance, Tamil just
no issue.
Yeah, so I will ensure that whatever I speak will also be translated to English. Okay, sometimes it is definitely good to say certain things in the native language. Anyway,
yes, sir.
Good evening to all. and it's my pleasure to be amongst our own MFD friends. Thank you, Muralidharan sir and the IFA Galaxy team for this invite. Predominantly, if you look at when we were growing up, okay, we listened to a lot of stories, especially from our grandparents, right? So most of the stories were from scriptures and mythology, and most of the stories, normally, if you look at even the school, we had a specific class called as moral science. I don't know whether the current curriculum permits schools to have that kind of session, but then yes, when most of us were kids, we used to have a moral science class. Am I right, Murli sir?
Yes, sir. Exactly, sir.
At the end of every story, there used to be what is the moral of the story. Okay. So that is something that we learned a lot of things in our life. The values that we have developed, no, that is all kudos to that kind of sessions that we have had. But the current profession in which we are, especially when we are dealing with money matters, okay, and personal finance, I was just thinking about, okay, how is it that these scriptures are relevant from that particular perspective? So these are some of the observations that I thought I will share with you all what I have learned. Okay, it is certain things that I have probably felt that this is a learning which I had got. So it is sometimes that we have different perspectives. It's absolutely okay. And when I am going to use certain characters in this kind of discussion that we're going to have, they might be gods, okay, for all of us. But then because it is a story that we are going to talk about and discuss about, so please do not mistake. It is not to hurt anybody's sentiments or feelings. So let me put that disclaimer across very clearly, because end of the day, what is important is the lesson that we can learn. It is not about the character. It is not about the story. It is about what we have as a takeaway from these stories that matters the more. It is not even the storyteller or the story. It is the takeaway that you are going to use and utilize it in your life. And how are you going to make the maximum benefit out of these learnings that's going to matter at the end of the day? So on that note, when we are talking about money, money is not something which is a very, very new subject. Okay, it's all about the money. But this is having a relevance in many, many older scriptures also, in the sense that for the older times, how we used to measure somebody is financially well-to-do. Okay, so here and there I might involve your answers also. If you can share in, you can use the chat box. Okay, those of you who see the chat box, there is a box below. So a couple of you can even unmute and share about probably certain things that we are discussing about. So when we are talking about money matters, why it is so essential? Predominantly, how good financially a person is. Okay, I'm not talking about the character. I'm talking about how good is his finances, or how probably well-to-do they are, or how rich they are, or wealthy they are, in whatever terms that you call. It is all measured by a currency. It is all measured by a currency, and this currency is again different depending on the native country. So when I'm talking about wealth being measured in the olden times, it was, if you're looking at the Indian context, it was the number of cows that a particular person owned, or a Raja owned, or the kingdom had. Okay, so if you look at from that particular perspective, cows at one point in time were a sort of measure of wealth. And then it became the expense of the land, how much land somebody had. Okay, so we call certain people as emperors because he owned a larger piece of the land, and they ruled from the north to the south, or to the east to the west, from the Kashmir to the Kanyakumari. All that when we talk about, it is the expanse of the land that somebody had under them, that probably was a measure of his wealth. Okay, so then we had currencies coming in. Then it started with metal, with respect to some of the coins that were printed in the long back. They were the coins made out of either gold or silver or a copper or bronze as the time went. And then we had ultimately paper currency, which originated from China. And in the newer age, if you look at in the current millennia, probably we have even on the electronic mode. It is not that I'm propagating it, but then it is something that people now do talk about, which is your cryptos or digital assets, if we call it on that particular perspective. So predominantly, money has always been a particular currency that a particular person has in abundance, which says how well-to-do or how wealthy is a particular person. Okay, so all this keeps changing as the time goes ahead, right? So when it comes to some of the stories, This is one famous story that we have heard about, right? So what is it that you see over here? So let me start with Muralidharan sir. If you remember, what is this story all about?
It is Vinayagar Murugan fight for the mango.
For the mango, okay. Can you put it in a nutshell? What exactly happened there?
Ganapati has round about that parents and got the mango, and Murugan was traveling all over the world, and he is returned and with empty hand.
Okay. So if you look at this story, I'm sure most of you would have heard about this. Narada, as usual, comes to the Shiva's family and says that I have a fruit. And unfortunately, this fruit cannot be divided. But then I can give it to a person who is the smartest of the two of you. Okay, between Muruga and Ganesha. Okay, so now the challenge over here, what Narada puts across to these two kids is that you will have to circumference the world. You'll have to go around the world 3 times. So you'll have to go around the world 3 times, and whoever comes first, okay, after going around the world, this fruit will be given to him. It is a jnana palam. It is a fruit of wisdom, and the person will be extremely wise, the one who consumes this particular fruit. Okay, so what happens after that is that Muruga is, as usual, very agile and quick. He jumps onto his vahana, which is the peacock, and he goes around the world, and he starts going around this earth. Right. So at that point in time, Vinayaka, as usual, our bulky man that he is, so he wonders, now what can I do? And he is by form bulky, as well as his vahana is a very small one, the Mushak vahana, or the small rat that they call. So he wonders, now what has to happen? How can I do this? So he then asks a very, very important question. Okay, that is where this very important learning also comes to the world, saying that the parents are the world to the child. The parents are the world to the child. And then he goes around his own parents, Shiva and Parvati, and then he says, Narada, this is my world, and I have gone around the world 3 times. Now the fruit belongs to me. Okay. So the point here, what is our learning from the financial perspective? If you're looking at personal finance, what is it that probably we can learn from the story? Anyone wants to chip in? Yeah, Jay Prakash? What is it that we can learn from the story?
We should have a smart to grab the.
Okay, you should be smart enough. That's okay. But from the financial perspective, on the personal finance note,
for the client, the advisor is the world.
I love that. Okay, advisor is the world to the client.
Money is the world.
Money is the world to the client. Okay, money, I believe, is a fruit. No, ultimately you get the wealth, the fruit. Okay.
My perception is all financial ideas are getting from our parents' end. Then only we have to follow that traditional way of investing only.
Okay. Okay, you mean to say the world, the knowledge comes from our parents. Okay, fine. So if you look at the difference between the approach of Muruga and Ganesha, Muruga says the world, when Narada says you'll have to circumvent the world and come back, he goes around the world, which is the external, all of us, you and me, we think the world means the earth, right? The mother earth. Whereas what Ganesha said is, for me, my world is my parents. Okay, so if you're looking at any of the financial decision that we'll have to take in our life, it is all about what matters to you. It is called personal finance. Okay, it's not just finance, it is personal finance. Okay, what works well for your neighbor, or what works well even for your own brother or a sister, need not be what works well for you. If they have invested in something, does not mean that you should also fall into the same kind of a, I wouldn't call it a trap. What works for them does not necessarily need to work for you. So you'll have to be very specific when it comes to taking decisions on the personal finance. What is your world? Look at it. And what suits you best. You'll have to take decision based on what works well for you at the end of the day. It's about personal. It is not just about the finance. Okay. So next are Trimurtis in the Hindu mythology, Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva. What do they denote? What do these Trimurtis denote?
Brahma creates.
Okay.
Vishnu protects.
Okay.
And Shiva.
Yeah.
Gods.
Yeah. What does Shiva do?
Destruction.
Okay, destruction. So over here, when you're looking at these 3 are the aspects of life. These 3 are aspects of life: birth, and then you are alive, and then you eventually pass. Okay, you die. So when it comes to the wealth, okay, there is nothing called as you destroy the wealth. Yes, first it is important that we understand how do we create wealth. This is typically what happens in a person's life as soon as he starts earning to a particular age, that probably his active income keeps on going. And during this process, he should also understand that whatever he has earned in his life, he creates this wealth and then starts preserving it. He does not lose it, he preserves it. And at a point in time when your active income starts falling off or becomes towards zero, you should ensure your passive income comes in with all the investments in the assets that you have made prudently. And this is your preservation phase, which we call predominantly a post-retirement kind of a phase. Then what happens after our life? You are talking about destruction. I would take it the other way, because the soul always lives on. They say the soul always lives on. It's only the physical body that goes. So Shiva ensures that we go from one world to the other world. Am I right in saying so? Muralidharan sir.
Yes,
okay.
sir. Yes,
okay.
sir.
Okay.
Transformation.
From one world, he takes us to the other world. So predominantly after a point in time in our life, we should also plan for transferring the wealth in a proper manner, so that the wealth that is created by the person goes to the right hands at the right point in time in the right manner. Okay, so if you do not plan it out, then the law of the land which come into picture, which is called as succession laws. Otherwise, if you want to do it on your own self, then writing a will or planning it through a probably settlement deed or creating through a trust channel or a HUF or whatever means, you should also ensure that not only the creation and preservation, also the transfer happens in the way that we would love it to happen, so that even we are happy in our grave. Okay, so like how we have Trimurtis in our life, it is also there's three different phases that we go through when it comes to wealth. And this is a very famous picture. I'm sure all of you know about this. What is this particular picture talking of? If I can have somebody who can share. Sanwantrao, what is this picture talking about? What does it denote?
தமிழ்ல சொன்னா பார்க்கடலை கடையறாங்க சார்.
பார்க்கடல் கடையறாங்க. Okay, what happens there?
ஆழகால விஷயம் comes.
And also the amudam.
Also the amudam. Okay, so typically we call it as a sagar manthan or parkadala kadairanga in Tamil. What happens in the sagar manthan is that there are two sides, the asuras and the devas, who are churning the ocean. And what is it that they're expecting out of the ocean? What is it that they're expecting out of the ocean?
Nectar.
They want the nectar which can grant them immortality. Okay, amudam or amrit, which can grant them immortality, but that doesn't come out first.
Yes.
Unfortunately, what comes out first?
Poison.
Poison. Hala hala visha comes, and the one who drinks it, Shiva. Okay, we revere him as God for having saved the world from this visha. Right. There's also one more person which comes out. There's also one more person who comes out.
1 minute, sir. 1 minute. I'll mute all.
Yeah. The other person who comes out is goddess Lakshmi. Okay, it is from the Sagar Manthan that goddess Lakshmi comes out, and who eventually marries Lord Vishnu, right? So if you look at when you're talking about churning, this is typically that everybody goes through in their life with respect to their money matters. Markets are not even. Markets give you both. Okay, there are also times when you have to be willing to drink the poison and survive, and also you will have to go through this kind of a churn in the mind. It is very emotional. The decision, especially with respect to staying put in the market when the markets are not good, is a lot of emotional turmoil for some people to look at negative on their mutual fund statements or on their assets. Whatever be the product that they are talking about, you have to be willing to bear the losses, at least on the paper, if you want to see the profits ultimately. So there are but two sides of the coin. And if the coin has only one side, that coin is not a valid coin. Right. So risk and return are but two sides of the coin, which many a time in our life we have heard about, and we have also seen in the scriptures. And people who are churning it over here are the market participants. And you have one which is stable, that Kurma avatar, what Lord Vishnu had taken, that's the market. Market is a place for everything. Okay, market is a place for everything. You get Amrit also from the market. You also get Vish from the market. And ultimately, Goddess Lakshmi resides in that box, which is our market terminal. Okay. So if you look at Lord Narasimha avatar also, it is half human and half animal. There is always evil and good in the world. Similarly, whenever it comes to investing, there are but two sides of the coin, the risk as well as the return. You cannot have just one of it. A lot of them people tend to talk about fixed income securities do not have an element of risk. Okay, it is not necessarily true. We all have seen, not just in the investing of bond markets or instrument like debentures and bonds, which also have an element of volatility, but even products like post office schemes or your deposits like FDs, RDs, there is an element of risk which is not necessarily visible, but it is felt when you go and spend the money, which is called as inflation risk. Inflation risk is one of the most important but invisible risk which eats away the value of our money, the purchasing power. So there is no product in this world which is free of risk, and at the same time the risk and return are going hand in hand. They coexist. So that is something that we'll have to understand across various kind of stories that we have heard and depictions that we have seen as scriptures. Okay. Now coming to this pair, the first pair, Brahma always, okay, if you look at his concert, is with Saraswati. Now, what do they represent? What do they represent?
Saraswati is probably knowledge in personal finance that can help you create wealth.
Absolutely. All right. And most of the time, people have a lot of respect, okay, especially for people who are extremely knowledgeable. One of the first appointments in my career when I had gone with my boss, okay, so I had taken him to a client who was extremely well to do, one of the kind of who's who in the market. So I was not very confident of handling his query. So I told my boss that, boss, why don't you accompany so that we close the deal? So he was willing to come. And at the end of the appointment, what he told me was something that I remember even till date. What he said is, Subhash, one thing you'll have to understand, whenever you're going to an appointment, business is made between two equals. He said, business is always made between two equals. So I was wondering why is he saying this. So he said, you might be wondering, that guy is extremely well-to-do. He is having so many crores in his bank account, and he is very rich, right? So you might be thinking, then how I can be very equal to him. He said he has a lot of money, but he might not know what to do with his money. We might not have that kind of a money, but we have the knowledge that is required to help him multiply the money. And for us, knowledge is wealth. And he said, always ensure that you are upgraded with what is happening in the market. At every point in time, you must be extremely knowledgeable, and your client also should understand that you are extremely knowledgeable. Only then he will treat you as his equals. And only then we can command respect in our society, among the people, among our own peer group, or even among our clients when we go ahead. So knowledge is wealth. Okay, so that's why always Saraswati has that extra respect as compared to Lakshmi in many places. Okay, so now going on to the next pair, who is our own the next second pair, Mahavishnu and Lakshmi. So what do you see in this? How is Mahavishnu? Where is he? Where is he?
He is in the Tamil சொன்னா பார்க்கடல்ல இருக்காரு. He is in the பார்க்கடல்.
Okay, பார்க்கடல். And on what is he resting? On what is he resting?
On the snake only.
It is a snake.
Adisheshan.
Adisheshan. Okay, Adisheshan has 1,000 heads, right? So if you look at all the stories that we have heard, now somebody comes running to Mahavishnu always for, sir, there is some problem in my life, please help. Yes, including Brahma. Okay, so there are always people who keep coming with a lot of problems, and Mahavishnu is always the guy who is the cool guy. Okay, he is always Mr. Cool. We have never seen Mahavishnu very agitated. Oh, that never happens. Okay, in none of the stories that we have heard, Mahavishnu is angry or agitated or anything like that, or disappointed or nothing like that. He is a calm and cool guy. Okay, and at the head you have Adishesha, the 1,000-headed serpent on which he is lying. And the ocean. Okay, it is such a peaceful look. Okay, the serenity that is around his face. Okay, it's always so beautiful. And at his feet is the goddess Mahalakshmi. And money always stays with the person who is this kind of a cool guy. You must have a poised mind. Whenever it comes to decision making, it is very important to have a balanced mind. And in case at any point in time we feel at some instance, okay, your balance is off, it is better not to take any important decision, or rely on an advisor who can, with a balanced mind, tell us what is best. as advisors, many a time we think that we can manage our own money. Okay. So it is not necessarily true. It is important that we as advisors also have somebody else as an advisor. Many a time, because of our own knowledge, okay, we tend to think that this decision might be very good to me. So it is important that we also have an advisor in our life. Maybe not necessarily only for money matters, even for other requirements in life, which we normally call as a mentor. Okay, so it is good to have a mentor in life, a person who can help us remain balanced and grounded in life. And when it comes to money management, having a balanced mind is extremely important. Now, when you come to this pair, the Shiva and the Parvati, okay. So whenever we talk about Shiva, no, the image that comes into the mind is what? The image that we get in our mind. Where is Shiva? Normally present. What is his residence?
Burial ground.
Burial ground. People don't say Kailash, unfortunately. Okay. Yes, though Kailash, we call Kailash Pati and all that. But then people say he's in a burial ground. And how is he decked up? What is his dress?
Tigers shrimp.
The most minimalist dress. Correct, no? Out of all the gods, he is the one who is not really decked up. Okay. They say Vishnu is Alankara Priya, means Vishnu likes to be dressed up. Whereas it is never so with respect to Shiva. Right. Whereas if you look at his concert, Parvati is always full of energy. It is important that these two aspects are very, very important in our personal financial management. With respect to, even Warren Buffett says that you must, you need not live a very miserly life, but you must live a frugal life. Have only what is required. Okay, so a minimalistic life is also very important, and being always energetic and enthusiastic like Parvati. Parvati is never dull. Parvati is never dull. Okay, it's always full of energy, and whenever we want energy or Shakti, we always pray to her. So be an enthusiast in life. Irrespective of what is happening in our personal life, we have to be enthusiastic. Always have that extra zing of energy in you, and it is always energy which attracts people. Especially being an advisor. If we are not energetic when we are seeing a client, we will never attract him. We will never be able to close a deal. So it is extremely important that we have that kind of energy, that extra zing in us, so that we are able to pass it on to the others whomever we meet in our life. This is something that probably I will always look at this pair. Now, when it comes to normal, the gyan that we always talk to our clients, it is important to save. And if I ask you, all of you over here will talk to me over the next 1 hour and tell us the importance of savings. But what is the savings and why we should have? All of us know, right? But can you tell me who actually imbibed this culture of savings in us? Who taught us the importance of savings to us? Anybody can guess?
Ant.
Okay. Any other guess? Any other guess? It is absolutely right. It is the ant. Okay. Such a small, beautiful creature. We have heard this English proverb saying, make hay when the sun shines. That's exactly what the ant does. In a rainy day, it need not go out of its den, because in a summer, it would have worked its ass out, and then it would have ensured that there is enough food in its den for its entire family. So when it comes to savings, it is very critically important that when at some point in time in our life, when our income surges, we ensure that it is not just spent off with our lifestyle increments, but also there is enough savings that goes so that we are able to maintain this kind of a lifestyle. And nothing is permanent. A job can tomorrow go off, or we might probably have a lower income. We did see during the COVID times that people did, a lot of them did lose a job, but a couple of them did have their jobs, but their salary was cut off. The company was not having sufficient cash flow to pay out. So it is important that we need to have a contingency account. Especially post-COVID, a lot of my clients did call up and say that, thank you, Subhash, you told us about the contingency that is required to be kept. That came very handy, because a couple of them did not even get the salary that was sufficient to pay their EMIs. So like the ant always, how it thinks about a rainy day and keeps money aside for a rainy day, it is important when it comes to financial management that we have a contingency account and ensure that we have sufficient enough balance to take care of any kind of emergencies. At the same time, maximize our savings and ensure that our lifestyle we are able to maintain at any point in time. Now, looking at the honeybees, okay, this honeycomb is something always which has attracted a lot of people, especially with respect to its symmetry and all that, and the way how the honeybees work. Now, what is it that we can learn from the honeybees? What is it that we can learn from the honeybees? If anyone can share.
A structured approach of accumulating the honey
Fantastic.
and a discipline in creation of that honey comb.
Fantastic. The discipline, the structured way of working. Fantastic. Any other?
SIP, even if in small amounts, will create a large wealth in the long term.
Lovely, lovely. What they gather and come is from the flowers, the nectar in the flowers. And if you look at the quantum of nectar that they would probably carry back to their comb and deposit there would be small. But they keep doing it so consistently that the comb ultimately has a large amount of honey. Fantastic. Super. Any other learning? Any other learning?
In fact, they have made it collective work.
It's a collective work. It is always a teamwork. Fantastic. Super. You never see a bee alone, no? If there is one bee, you are very sure there are a lot of other bees around. They are never alone. Any other? Super. If you look at the bees, they have one queen bee and they always follow the master. Wherever the queen bee goes, whatever the instruction the queen bee does, all the other drone bees, okay, the worker bees, they'll just follow it so obediently. Okay, so have that one master in life and you follow that master. And they all work so beautifully as a team. They're so very professional. The way they have constructed it, the way they keep going around. Actually, they say how they fly, they send signals. Okay, the way they fly in the sense that they make certain shapes on air. And that is a mode of communication, whether there is a danger ahead or there is a honey here or there is no honey over here, so that they don't waste time. So the way how actually I did visit a honey museum and they told so much about the honeybees that I was really awestruck. So very professionally they work that I am sure we have a lot of learnings in our own profession that we can imbibe from them. And their goal is so focused. Their goal is just go collect honey from all these flowers, collect the nectar and deposit over here. Such a very, very focused activity that they do, that when we have this kind of a focus in our life and we follow the master and so diligently work in a professional manner, I am very sure we can make a lot of honey in our own personal life. When it comes to the qualities as an advisor, there are certain qualities that probably we can learn from Brahma. If you look at Brahma is never one-headed, no? In any photo of Brahma that you look anywhere, you will have
4 heads.
4 heads. No, what do they denote? What do they denote?
Have 360-degree of view.
Very good. Have a 360-degree perspective. Fantastic. Any other? Yeah.
Keep learning.
Keep learning, keep learning. He always have this books in his hand. Okay, one of the hand carries the books. That is predominantly the Vedas. And the 4 heads that they say that he has got is the 4 heads denoting 4 different Vedas. He has learned the entire Vedas. That's what they say. And the 4 heads are in 4 different directions. He did have a 5th head, which in one of the stories we learned that he lost that 5th head for some reason, right? So the 4 different heads are denoting that he can see in all 4 directions. As one of our friends rightly said, he is extremely knowledgeable. Brahma is one of the most knowledgeable person, and not just knowledgeable, he is also very wise. So there is a difference between having knowledge and having wisdom. Okay, so he is knowledgeable as well as very wise. 360-degree perspective is what our clients would expect us to give. Okay, so most of the times when we have a discussion with the client, then he will ask whether this is best or that is best. So it is always best to say that there is nothing called as best. There is nothing called as the best, because if there is only one best product, then only that can exist. No, all other products can be scrapped off. Okay, there is nothing called as a worst product, because any of the regulators will ensure that the product is out of the market. So what actually matters is what is suitable for you. As we rightly said in the beginning of the session, it is personal to you. Every product which have a pros and cons of taking a decision to invest money in that. Now, we are the ones who are supposed to tell the client the 360-degree perspective we'll have to give him. The pros and cons. There are pros and cons in every investment product or in every investment decision that we make or any financial decision that you take. Once you understand the pros and cons, the decision is yours to make, my dear client. if we probably adopt this advisory method, then it is always safe with respect to the kind of the decision that the client takes. He owns it up. It is not that, sir, you told me, that's why I put. These kind of blame games will never come. It is important that we ensure that we transfer this knowledge also to the client, because a knowledgeable client is always a delight to handle for an advisor. Now, Krishna is somebody which always I love as an advisor. Okay, so what is it that we can learn from Krishna? Especially this pick. What is this pick? Where is this pick?
Guides Arjuna in the war. Probably advisor guides the investor in wealth creation journey.
Right? Fantastic.
Especially during the volatile times.
Especially during the volatile times. Right? Fantastic. Then? Any other?
When someone not able to take decision.
Yes.
Insist on the purpose.
He insists on the purpose. Lovely. He insists on the purpose. Okay, so beautifully said by all of you. If you look at, Krishna told one main condition that I will not fight the war. Krishna told, the first condition that Krishna said is, I will not fight the war, but I will be with you. One side Krishna, other side is his army, right? So Arjuna chose Krishna, that we all know, right? But what is the value add that Krishna told is so beautifully put across by all of you. There are times, okay, volatile times, when Arjuna, such a brilliant warrior, is confused. A client will have a lot of money, but there are also times when he is confused on what to do. At that point in time, it is not necessary that you take the decision for him, but you nudge him towards taking a decision by ensuring that he is becoming aware of the purpose. What is the purpose? It is not that you are killing your kith and kin. It is that you are trying to uplift dharma over here. Okay, so you will have to probably go back and tell the client, because there will be times that, sir, should I book some profit because the market is up, because people are saying that recession is going to come, because this. Okay, this news from all over will ensure that he becomes confused, right? So at this point in time, you have to nudge him. So what's your purpose? There are many a times that some clients do ask me, sir, give me a portfolio report every month. I say, what are you going to do? No, I will want to check the portfolio. I said, that's my job. That is not your job. Checking the portfolio, how it is doing, that is my job. That is not your job. You do your job. Okay, if there are any changes, you let me know. Once a year, probably we'll sit for a review. The point over here is, you are talking about retirement goal, which is 20 years down the lane. What are you going to be going on reviewing every month? Maybe once in a year. Initially, maybe once in 3 months. Later, maybe once in a year. So the point over here is, there are times where he is confused and he does not know. So you need to give him a purpose and direction. And that purpose and direction is something that you should always keep holding on, like the reins of the horse that Krishna held on. So that Arjuna's journey is very, very smooth. And if you look at, he was a friend, the best friend. Whenever they talk about the friendship, it is always that they quote about Arjuna's and Krishna's friendship. So as an advisor, it is also important that we are his best friend, because after a point in time, I don't know how many of you have experienced this, but beyond about 10 years or so in your profession, the discussion that we have our client is not about which fund is doing good. It is not about how the market is going on. It is mostly about managing his life. Okay, he'll tell you things that probably is very close to his heart, which he might not even feel like sharing to his spouse. Okay, he looks up us like an advisor as a best friend. Most of the time, we will end up discussing things regarding his family, regarding his children, or regarding the problems between the discussion between his wife and he, where they are not agreeing upon, should I buy a house, should I construct the house? They both are not agreeing upon, and we become like an atamai. Okay, atamai is like the middleman, so who has to ensure that both the parties are taken care. Most of the time, the discussions are not around the market or the funds. Okay, so only when we start building this kind of a friendly relationship over a period of time, that we can win over the client. And it's also important that we don't get caught in the crossfire. Okay, so you cannot take sides, but you have to be diplomat. Krishna never took sides. He was a diplomat, but then he ensured that the purpose and the direction was given. And when it is required, you will have to nudge him so that he takes the right decision. You will have to nudge him towards taking the right decision. When it came to the war, at that point in time, Krishna was very clear that I will not stand in the side of adharma, right? And if you look at most of the stories that have Krishna around, there is always a plan B. There is a route that he will adopt when something does not work out. At one point in time in the war, no, Arjuna does not really, kill or rather succeeds in, defeating Bhishma. So Arjuna is being coaxed by Krishna to put Bhishma down, but then he is not able to do that. At that point in time, Krishna takes up the wheel. Okay, then Arjuna says, no, boss, I will do it. So you should always have a plan B. If you look at many of the stories, there is always a plan B. Over here in our financial planning also, we need to have a plan B, because everything that we plan for need not necessarily work out. So we must have a plan B whenever we draft our financial plans. So now going ahead, if you look at this beautiful picture of the river flowing, what comes to your mind?
Ganga.
Yeah.
Perseverance.
Okay. Perseverance. Okay, right. Perseverance to flow. What else?
Whatever happens in life, the flow has to move on.
Flow has to move on. Fantastic. That's what our rivers tell us. The nature tells us. Okay. If you look at, is this so beautiful, or a lake with a stagnant water beautiful? Is a flowing river beautiful to look at, or a water body with a stagnant water so beautiful?
Obviously, river.
Always a river, right? So if you look at Lakshmi and river, okay, they are sort of synonymous in the sense that money should never stagnate. Money should never be stagnant. It should be always in circulation. Okay, that is why if you look at the RBI, always looks at how is the circulation of money. And whenever the circulation is not good, they really will take decision to ensure the circulation of money is increasing. Like the water. Okay, the water stagnate, it will stink. Money also should not get stagnated. It should keep moving around. So it is important that the money flows like the water. And goddess Lakshmi, always they say, Chanchalati iti Lakshmihi. They say in Sanskrit, meaning Lakshmi is never stable. Lakshmi is unstable. So you should have a poised mind so that you are able to handle the Chanchalati iti Lakshmihi. Okay. Now going to this Onam round the corner, all of you will be planning to go and have a Onam Sadhya shortly, right? And maybe you would have seen this fantastic feast that they serve in most of these marriages. Now, what is so good about this feast? You would also had this in Yugadi or Varsha Parapa and all that Vishu time, they make this kind of a dish. What is this dish?
Diversified, tasty dishes.
Balanced diet.
Balanced diet. Okay. So why especially this is critical is that, see, let's say I love sweets. I love sweets. Okay. So in case you are planning to call me over for lunch or dinner one day at home, okay, you ensure that you have 20 different varieties of sweets. Do you think if you serve me 20 varieties of sweets, do you think I'll relish it? Even if I love sweets? Definitely not. I will not come home the next time, right? So if you look at whenever it comes to our investment in asset classes, every asset class has its own characteristics with respect to risk and return. And there is no particular asset class that has to be in excess of the other. Okay, anything in excess, okay, is not good. They say, Alavakku meedinal amudamam visham, meaning in excess, if you have nectar, that will also turn into poison. That's why at least once in a year, they make this kind of a Yugadi time or Varsha Parapa time or Vishu time, they make this kind of a pachadi, which has got every taste in it, the 6 different tastes. So if you look at this kind of a feast, they say Arusuvai Unavu, meaning all the different tastes are there. So it is critically important that even in our portfolio, we have a mix of everything, because I believe, I have heard a lot of people that they know only equity, they don't know anything else. Even their contingency money will be in equity fund. Okay, so that's not always a great idea, in the sense that this asset allocation, what we call, it should keep moving as the age changes, as the person's lifestyle changes, life stages keep changing in a person's life. So asset allocation keeps changing. That's what we remind ourselves whenever we have a feast. We should never ever forget the importance of asset allocation, that also Warren Buffett says. He says that the most important thing that helps in wealth creation is asset allocation. It is not the market. It is asset allocation that helps in wealth creation. Now, going ahead, it has to be diversified. Now, going ahead, this is a picture that I always love to see. Now, what all do you see in this pic? It is a first family. Okay. You have the first family of us, the Shiva family. What all do you see in this pic? Observe carefully and tell me.
It's a complete family with the different variants.
When you mean complete family, what do you mean?
So you have all sorts of characters.
Okay, like
A snake, a peacock, everything is there.
very good. You have a snake, you have a peacock, then you have
Cow,
A cow.
lion,
you have a bull, you have a lion, then you have a rat.
Yes.
What
yeah,
else?
deer also, mon.
different animals has different type of features and disadvantages are there. But
Okay,
it comes with all their portfolio should comes with like this. It shows
Okay.
like this.
okay. If you look at Shiva also, no? You look at Shiva, on his head, you have
Ganga,
Ganga. Okay, and you also have that moon. Right? On his forehead, he has
the third eye.
what is the third eye? You know?
What is third eye?
Netrikkan Tirundhalum
Netri-
Kutram Kutrame,
Kutrame.
he says in that beautiful movie, right? So what happens when he opens the third eye? Fire comes out. Right? If you look at everything in this pic is sort of paradox. You have moon, you have Ganga, the water, you have the third eye, which is the fire, that is Shiva. Okay, then you look at their vahanas. You have a snake and bull and lion. Bull and the lion don't like each other. They are kind of antonyms. And you have a snake which can eat the mouse, and a peacock also which can eat the mouse, and a peacock can eat the snake. If you look at, they're all antonyms. Sort of in a normal world, they both cannot exist together. All kind of paradoxes. Okay, but if you look at in this family, they all stay together. They all coexist. That's exactly how an ideal portfolio should be like. So whenever we talk about constructing a fantastic portfolio, the most efficient portfolio should have the securities which they say are negatively correlated. No, typically if you look at the portfolio theory, academically speaking, the portfolio theory says that the contents of the portfolio should be negatively correlated, meaning they move opposites. They are sort of antonyms. They are against each other. So that's exactly what the first family tells us all about. So if we can have such a beautiful portfolio, I am sure it will be a delight. Now looking at Rama's story. Whenever we hear about Rama, what comes to the mind? Whenever, especially in the recent times, Ramayana has been spoken of a lot, right? So what comes to our mind? The story of Rama. What comes to our mind? The most striking feature of this fantastic personality of Rama. What, sir?
His love for his country people and for his family.
Okay.
And then 14 years Vanavasam.
14 years Vanavasam, because he didn't want to disappoint his father, giving word to his sort of foster mother, stepmother. What is the crux of the entire Ramayana story? If you look at, you're talking about 14-year Vanavasa. Na? In the 14-year Vanavasa, actually that 1 year is what is spoken of more than the other 13 years. Correct?
It was all about Ravana's war with Rama.
Right. It was about getting back Sita.
Yeah.
Right. Sita was kidnapped by Ravana, and it was about getting back Sita. So our man, all the way, he went to Sri Lanka. Okay, constructing a Rama Setu, which is there even till date. Even after thousands of years, that Rama Setu, I believe, it is not trying to be other way. More than Taj Mahal being a symbol of love, I believe Ram Setu is a symbol of love. Rama built that Rama Setu, which exists even today after thousands of years, because he needed that bridge to walk across and bring his wife back. Right. So if you look at, they always say in Telugu, it's said, okay Mata, okay Banam, okay Sita, meaning one word. If he gives a word, and he will always live up to the word. He will ever go back on his word, and it is only one arrow. Okay, and he was so focused on in the sense his target. That's what they mean by okay Banam. Okay Sita means only one wife. Now all of us might wonder, Arey yaar, what is there in having only one wife? Most of us have only one wife. Okay, the point over here is in those days, because when I was just referring it, somebody said this to me. I said, boss, in those days, having more than one wife was a common parlance. Okay, not like today. But at that point in time, his dedication was only to that one lady in his life. And he went all the way to Sri Lanka to get her back. Right. So that's how the Ramayana. Ramayana is probably you wouldn't have Ramayana if Ravana or the kidnapping incident would not have happened. Okay, that is probably the crux of the entire story. But if you look at, he took all the efforts to go and bring her back. But what happened after that? He became the king, and then after he became the king, there's also one side, other side of the story, you know. Have you heard about that?
He lost Sita.
He lost Sita again. Now, how did he lose Sita again? It is because some idiot fellow in his kingdom, okay, he let out a loose word, and then he wanted to be a righteous king, and then he said, if my probably subjects feel so, then I'll have to leave Sita in the forest. Okay. He had taken all his efforts to go and get back Sita. At that point in time, though he was not a king, but when he became a king, he wanted to be the best king. So he had to listen to his subjects and he has to live in a manner that nobody questions him. But the point is, because he heard the word, he had to probably lose his wife back to the forest. Right. So there are many a time where Google becomes an advisor beyond us. I am sure most of us would have faced it. We would have recommended some fund. The client will call back, sir, how is about that fund, sir? Somewhere, some Google would have told him, or some other report of some other company would have told this is the top 5 funds. Okay. The point is, when a client, especially we'll have to tell it upfront to the client that when you let all the others words come into you, you will always lead to confusion. If you are happy to have Google as your advisor, please go ahead and have. No problem. Let loose. Okay. If you feel that I am adding more value to you, come back to me. But if I am your advisor, I am your advisor. Point, bang. That's it. Dot. Nothing more, nothing less. Okay. So sometimes we'll have to put our foot down and also tell, because if we allow the hearsay to come in, there will be more of confusion than clarity in personal finance management. When you are looking at this Vaman, okay, Vamana, what is the story all about? Who is the guy at the feet of Vamana? Who is the guy at the feet of Vamana?
Bali Chakravarti.
Okay. So what happens to Bali?
He went inside the earth.
He went inside the earth to the Patal Lok. And then what is the story about? What does Vamana tell him? He was a very righteous demon king, right? Now we are round the corner to celebrate the following week. Yeah?
Onam, right?
Absolutely, right?
Onam.
The festival of Onam denotes Bali coming back to earth and visiting his subjects, his kingdom. Correct? So, typically, if you look at however good your portfolio is or however bad the portfolio is, it is important that we keep reviewing our portfolio. Normally, people talk about long-term investing. I am investing for the long term. I am a long-term investor. Long-term investing does not mean investing and forgetting. Does not mean investing and forgetting. Even if you are holding a stock for donkey number of years, it is important that every year at least you look at whether the company is good enough to hold on or not. Not acting is also an action. Not to take any action is also an action. Okay. So it is important that when we have a portfolio, we need to keep reviewing it and keep monitoring it and remove the weeds so that we have only the best ones to hold on to our portfolio. How frequently you do it depends on our goals, depends on our personal life situation. Okay, so but it is important that we keep reviewing and monitoring our plan to know whether we are in the right direction. Okay, so when we are talking about this gentleman here on screen, Lord Parashurama, okay, he is known for what? Very furious man. Okay, he has, it seems, gone around the earth 21 times and killed all the kings who were not righteous. So don't ever hesitate to remove the weeds, because many a time, no, I have seen clients, no, sir, that stock I like, sir, hold on, but the stock is not doing well. So you don't need to be emotionally attached to it. Okay, like somebody very recently, I was looking at their portfolio, has got a particular stock which he has bought in the IPO. And I asked him, why do you think you like that stock and what was it? No, sir, it's a good company. I said, good on what means? No, sir, I like that company. He was not having anything beyond that. Then I said, when did you buy it? More than a year back. And now the stock is about 60% or 50% down from the issue price. So I said, if you like it so much, why don't you buy now? You bought it at the time of IPO when it was double the current price. Then what's stopping you from buying now? He is not sure whether to buy it or not buy it. So there is no requirement to be very emotional about it. Once I loved a client who I was discussing in my early part of the career about the fund in which we are going to invest and what is it and blah blah blah. He said, Subhash, stop it. He was a chettiar. He said, Subhash, stop. All which fund, what you are going to do, all that is your headache. I don't bother. You tell me in what name I should give the check, I will give. Okay. All that I will want is how much my money has grown. Every year, come back and tell me, sir, you gave me so much money. Today it is so much. I don't care whether you invest in a fund or whether you invest in a snake or whether you invest in a whatever thing. It is your problem. It is not my problem. So it is important to be very unemotional about the decision when you are talking about removing the weeds in the portfolio for the larger good of our financial health. Right. Now coming to this rock, okay, looks a very, very gigantic rock. Compared to this drop of water, what you see on the left side, which do you think is mightier? The drop of water or the rock?
Drop of water.
Sure?
Yes.
Why?
It will even cut the rock.
Fantastic. If ever you have visited this Grand Canyon, have you visited anybody over here? You would have heard the story of how the Grand Canyon was carved out from the water. Okay, it is the movement of this water which carved the Grand Canyon. So we have seen this drop of water is more powerful. But the point over here, where is the drop falling? Where is the drop falling? It should not fall all over the earth. Keep falling on the same place, only then the rock will break. It has to be consistent in the same place. That is very, very important, right? So the golden mantra for wealth creation: start early, drive slowly, reach safely. This is something that we always talk about when we talk to clients. How do we talk about this? In what context do we talk about this? In what context?
Road safety. Road safety.
Road safety, yes. How do we bring about this road safety in wealth creation?
No, the advantage of starting early, even in small contributions, can create wonders for you, and have that consistent to make sure that you reach your goals on time.
Absolutely. That's why we always talk about SIP, and a lot of them I hear in our own community saying that, sir, I focus only on SIPs. I focus only on SIP, and our own group's name is SIP Drive. No, so if you look at starting early, and I always look at this picture and I wonder, this is a bamboo shoot. Have you heard about the bamboo shoots?
Yes, sir.
Right. What is so beautiful about these bamboo shoots? The story that we have heard about the bamboo.
Yeah, it will grow only after some 5, 6 years or 7 years. Till then, even a single leaf will not come out from the earth.
Okay, so when somebody asked the bamboo why it took so much time for you to come out, it said, I was busy building the roots. Okay, so when it starts growing, it grows so fast because it has spent considerable amount of time building the roots, right? So starting early in life is very, very important. And I would always love to give this as a gift to most of the clients whom I see who have children, because this is missing in today's homes. Most of the homes when I go, the children don't have something called as a piggy bank. I, as a child, remember having undial. Okay, and this undial habit, what came then, is still there in most of our lives. Right. So this is a fantastic gift if you want to give to any other child. And whenever we talk about starting early in life, this is a quote that we can never ever forget. Warren Buffett, who said, I made my first investment at the age of 11. I was wasting my life up until then. He started late, it seems, at the age of 11. So yes, whenever we talk about SIPs, we'll have to ensure that the client is aware about the importance of starting early. And when you're talking about driving slowly, it is always about the process. Whenever we hear about the stories, it is a conviction that Jesus had, which resurrected him on the Easter morning, right? So this is what most often we hear from even people like Dhoni, MS Dhoni. He always believes in following the process. Results will eventually come. And most of the fund managers that we talk about, be it Prashant Jain and all, there were times when a couple of them were written off. They did make a comeback because they followed the process right. And nowadays, whenever we hear from most of the AMCs, they don't talk about the fund manager. They talk about the fund management process. They say we have a process, so that this fund manager or some other fund manager comes, the process is what is important. So following the process will eventually give us the results that is desired. All that is required is to have the conviction. Even if the driving is slow, as long as they are consistently in the same direction, we will reach it. And this is where we have seen in our portfolios the benefit of compounding. Most of the portfolios, I'm sure a couple of you will be having clients whose portfolio is more than 10 years old. And irrespective of the market being up or down, we see that the portfolio started becoming stable. And that's how the compound interest starts kicking in. The benefit starts kicking in at a later stage in life. And I always love to tell this to my clients, that one who understands the importance of compounding will ensure that he makes it work for him, and one who doesn't will work for it. And there comes the story of Balaji, right? What is the story of Balaji? What is the story of Balaji? Tirupati Balaji.
Got debt from Guber.
Okay, got debt from Kuber. Why did he get the debt?
Working for 24 hours.
No,
Working
far.
24 hours.
For the marriage. For the marriage.
For the marriage. Okay. Right. Fantastic. Story which probably, if you look at, most of you, whenever you say that you are going to Tirupati to a friend, that friend will give you something in his pocket and say, sir, please put this in the undial. Or many of you would have done if your friend is going to Tirupati, sir, please put this in the undi. Right. And why do we do that? Because we are helping Lord Venkateshwara come out of his debt. And why did he get into debt? Because he wanted to have a extra, sort of fantastically great marriage which everybody on the earth talks about. Okay. So that kind of an extravaganza, because he wanted to have, he ended up taking some debt from Kubera, which they say even today he is repaying only the interest, even the principal is not yet repaid. Okay. So the point over here is, we need to understand when we are doing some financial action, whether it is towards creating an asset or creating a liability. And I'm very sure all those who have read about Rich Dad and Poor Dad will know the difference. What puts money in our pocket is an asset, and what takes money out of our pocket is a liability. The point over here is, as Warren Buffett has said this, if you buy something that you don't need today, you will end up selling something that you need the most tomorrow. So when it comes to debt management, it is not bad. Taking loan, borrowing is not bad, as long as you can make that money work much harder, or earn farther greater returns than the interest that you are paying, which not everybody might be capable of doing. Okay, so you have to be very careful when you're talking about borrowing. A lot of them, even when they're talking about swiping their credit card, okay, you have to be careful that just for the naam ke vaste, you don't swipe it off or convert it into EMI just because the bank is allowing it at 0%. So you'll have to be careful about debt management, because managing debt is critically important in financial freedom. When I'm talking about the Islam religion, everybody talks about one thing. What is one common thing in their religion which is not allowed?
Borrowing.
Borrowing. Okay. Any other?
Interest earned investments, sir, not interested.
So they talk about Sharia law and say that earning interest is wrong. Okay. But it is not 100% true. It is not 100% true. If you go back to the principles of Mohammedan law, written by a lot of famous authors like Mullah and all, if you read, it is not in the name of the interest, but predominantly there has to be a sharing in the profit. And how much should that be? That should be basically to ensure that it protects the inflation. So it is not that you should not earn interest. In the name of interest, probably it is not called, it is a name of profit sharing. But the point over here is your money should grow. How much should it grow? At least to the extent of inflation, so that your real return is at least bare minimum. If not positive, it is zero. So you need to protect the value of the money against the drop in the purchasing power because of inflation. That is one thing that you should learn from that. Second, if you look at, when I was talking to a friend of mine who is a follower of Islam who was getting married. Okay, so he was talking about some of the rituals and all that. And very important thing that he talked about at that point in time is, when we talk about what you do with your first income. Most often, as soon as you get your first income, be it first salary or your first income check, No, people will say, I did that, I did this, I bought something for my mother, or I did this for some temple, I donated, blah, 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 blah. But I believe it is said in their tradition that you need to buy your own kafan. Have you heard about what is this kafan? Kafan is this white cloth that you see which is put on the dead body. And I believe it is said that the kafan has to be always on top of your almirah, meaning your wardrobe. The reason being that you have to be aware that whenever you're dressing up and going out, you should be aware that the world is temporary and anything can happen. You don't even leave behind that particular job of buying a cloth over your dead body to your near and dear. Meaning we should not leave behind any kind of liability to our kith and kin. So even that cloth is something that they purchase from their own money. So if I read some of the books on insurance, when I do some kind of a sort of numerical solving on this insurance, especially some Western books, there is one thing that they add over there called as funeral cost. Okay, so when somebody is talking about covering his insurance claim amount, his funeral cost is also included in the amount of coverage that needs to be taken. So you don't leave behind any liability to anybody when you leave the earth. Right. So when it comes to this auto, most of us would have traveled in this auto. How many wheels do this auto have? How many wheels does this auto have?
3.
What do they denote? Life is a journey, and if you want to enjoy the journey, you want to have a fantastically great life, you need to have 3 healths. One is a physical health, second is a financial health, third is emotional health. If there is imbalance in any one of them, you are gone for a toss. It is like any one of the tires is deflated, then your journey becomes very, very difficult. Okay. So the physical health and the financial health and the emotional health have to be in the same balance. Emotionally, we are disturbed, physical health is gone, then money will be transferred from your account to the hospital account. Right? It will drain all the 3. Any imbalance in one of them will drain all the 3. So it is very critically important that in our journey of life, we maintain a balance in the 3. And to maintain a balance are these 5 different elements. If you look at any of these elements, the Panchabhutas they call, be it the Prithvi, earth, or water, Jal, Agni, fire, air, Vayu, and Akash, sky. What is the common denominator between all 5 of them? What is the common characteristic of all 5 of them?
They do their job and they don't bend to anyone.
Okay. Okay. If you look at this terminology we heard very often in the recent times, we live in a Ukka world. Now, what is this Ukka world? A world which is
volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous.
Absolutely. V for volatile, U uncertain, right? C for complex, and E ambiguous. If you look at all these 5 elements, they are not stable. They are not stable. Okay. They always keep moving. Change is the only constant. And if you want to survive, you better learn how to adapt to change. Though we talk about the 4 different yugas, okay, Satya Yuga, Treta Yuga, Dwapar Yuga, Kali Yuga, and all that, they say that the world will come to an end after Kali Yuga. No, the world cannot come to an end. The world is different. That's it. In Satya Yuga, what was there is different in Treta Yuga, is different in Dwapar Yuga, is different in Kali Yuga. After Kali Yuga, we'll come back to Satya Yuga. It is only a circle. You never know where it starts and where it ends. Change is the only constant in life, and only one who adapts to this change can survive. That's exactly what we have seen in our own profession. In 1990s, what we saw, the industry is totally different in the 2000s and totally different today. And one thing that we all believe is the biggest risk to our own business as MFDs is, I don't know if I can say it since it is in recording, but yes, the biggest risk that we have is the regulatory risk. Okay, the regulator will keep changing things every day in and day out. As long as our interest is also the investor's interest, we will not have a problem. Only when the alignment is different between what is best for the investor and what we think is best for us, only then we'll have a problem. We need to keep changing the way we service our investor. We need to keep changing the way we adapt to technology and any of these changes that is happening. As long as our intention is very clear that whatever we do is at the end of the day in the best interest of the investors, we will never have a problem in adapting to these changes. So on that note, I thank Muralidharan for this opportunity. Thank you, sir, and IFA Galaxy team for this fantastic platform that you have created. And I will end with saying that money is very important. It has to be in the hands of the good people so that we create a prosperous society. Thank you, and over to you, Mr. Muralidharan.
Thank you very much, sir. Fantastic session. Thank you for all your sharing of the Vedas and other things related with our finance. It will be nailed in all our MFDs. Thank you, and I welcome anyone to say a few words about today's session, positive feedback, or if you have any query or anything, you can unmute and ask your queries, or you can leave your feedback.
Yeah, Subhash sir, this is Rajkumar. I have heard about you that you're so passionate about training people, and interestingly, this was my first session that I attended with you, and I found that the feedback was really true. The way you narrated and articulated the stories and all that was really good. One thing that I would probably like to add on top of what you said related to market is, I always quote this to my clients when they ask about market volatility. Quote from Gita Saram, whatever happened, be it DeMont, GST, GFC, whatever has happened is also for good. Whatever has happened now is also for good. Whatever will happen in future will also be for good. Yes. So I say that often, and I found that interesting linking between each of these characters in our life with finance. Whatever you said was truly amazing. Thank you so much. Would be interested to hear more from you in the future as well. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, Rajkumar, sir.
சார் வணக்கம், பூபாலன் சார்.
சொல்லுங்க பூபாலன். எஸ்
சார், கடவுளையும் நீங்க வேற மாதிரி பார்க்க வச்சிட்டீங்க சார். உண்மையாவே ரொம்ப நல்லா இருந்தது. இந்த வே நம்ம பெர்ஸ்பெக்டிவ் வந்து ரொம்ப அழகா மாத்துறீங்க. இப்படிதான் அப்படின்னு சொல்லிட்டு நம்ம வச்சுட்டு இருந்திருக்கோம். இன்ஃபேக்ட் அந்த லாஸ்ட் நீங்க அந்த போட்டோ காட்டும்பொழுது அந்த என்டையர் இன்ஃபேக்ட் அதோட ஆப்போசிட்ஸ் எல்லாமே ஒன்னா இருக்குது. இன்ஃபேக்ட் இட் வாஸ் டூ குட். அந்த பெர்செப்ஷன் இஸ் கம்ப்ளீட்லி டிஃபரெண்ட். இட் வாஸ் a different zone by itself. ரொம்ப நிறைய கேள்விப்பட்டிருக்கேன். இட் இஸ் வெரி ஹாப்பி டு லிசன் டு யூ டுடே சார். Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Subhash sir, Subramanian from Madurai. The art of storytelling அப்படிங்கிறது உங்கள்கிட்ட இருந்து நிறைய கத்துக்கணும்னு நினைக்கிறேன். ஒரு ஆட்டோவை வச்சு கூட இவ்வளவு அழகான ஒரு கதையை நரேட் பண்ண முடியும் அப்படிங்கிறது ஒரு மிகப்பெரிய விஷயம் தான் சார். ரொம்ப அழகா ஆட்டோவில் உள்ள 3 வீலை வச்சு பர்சனல், ஃபினான்சியல், ஹெல்த் அந்த மாதிரி உள்ள விஷயங்களை நீங்க கார்லேட் பண்ணது ரொம்ப அழகா இருந்தது. எல்லாமே மனசுல பதியும்படியா இருந்தது. உங்களுடைய ட்ரைனிங் வந்து ரொம்ப புரியும்படியாகவும் எளிமையாகவும் இருந்தது. ரொம்ப கஷ்டமான ஜார்கன்ஸ் யூஸ் பண்ணி நான் பாட்டுக்கு எனக்கு இருக்கிற அறிவு ஜீவித்தனத்தை ப்ரூவ் பண்றேன்றது இல்லாம, அதே சமயத்துல மார்க்கெட்டுக்கு தகுந்த மாதிரியும் எம்எஃப்டிஸுக்கு எது தேவையோ அதை தகுந்த மாதிரியும் நாங்க இந்த கதைகளை கஸ்டமர்ஸுக்கு போய் எடுத்து சொல்ற விதமாகவும் ரொம்ப அழகா சொன்னீங்க. ரொம்ப அருமையா இருந்தது.
சுபாஜி, சதீஷ் பேசுறேன். உங்க கிளாஸ் கேட்ட மாதிரி இருந்துச்சு. ஏன்னா இவர் இப்படி இல்லை சார், ஐ எம் ஸ்டூடெண்ட். சிஎஃப்பி பண்ணும்போதே அப்படிதான் நல்லா அவ்வளோ அழகா சொல்லி தருவார். அந்த மகுடி விடுற பாம்பு அசைகிற மாதிரியே அவர் கேட்கறது ஃபுல்லா இருக்கும். டுடே ஆல்சோ இட் வாஸ் an excellent session. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Devi, you want to say anything? Devi?
Yes sir. Thank you Subhash sir. இன்னைக்கு செஷன் ரொம்பவே யூஸ்ஃபுல்லா இருந்தது. கஸ்டமர் ஹேண்ட்லிங் தான் இன்னைக்கு எனக்கு ஒரு பெரிய சேலஞ்சிங்கா இருந்தது. அது ஸோ உங்களோட நிறைய பாயிண்ட்ஸ் வந்துட்டு யூஸ்ஃபுல்லா இருந்தது. அதே மாதிரி அசெட் அலோகேஷனுக்கும் ஒரு செஷன் கண்டக்ட் பண்ணி கொடுத்தீங்கன்னா நல்லா இருக்கும்.
Okay, thank you Devi.
Thank you.
Subhash, excellent session. I can't even imagine. I was so delighted to hear this presentation. ஒரு 10-12 வருஷம் முன்னாடி ஒருத்தர் ஒரு தத்து, அவர் பேர் கரெக்டா எனக்கு வரமாட்டேங்கிறது, அவரும் காட பேஸ் பண்ணி பிரசன்டேஷன் பண்ணுவார். அவர் டக்குனு ஞாபகம் இல்ல, சிவ்தத்தா பட்நாயக், அவரே மாதிரி அப்படியே. அதுக்கப்புறம் எனக்கு அப்படியே சேம் வே நீங்க வந்து I have taken to that world actually. So my best wishes. In fact, I'll talk to you personally sometime afterwards. உங்க நம்பர் நான் எடுத்துட்டு இருக்கேன். Thanks a lot for giving us a lot of insight about how to go about giving our full knowledge to the customer. அப்படிங்கறத நீங்க சொல்லியிருக்கீங்க. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Ramkumar sir.
சார் முரளி சார் வணக்கம். நான் சந்தோஷ் பேசுறேன் பாண்டிச்சேரியில. சார் சுபாஷ் சார், சந்தோஷ் பாண்டிச்சேரியில இருந்து.
வணக்கம் சந்தோஷ்.
கிராண்டா இருந்தது சார். அட்பார் லெவல் எப்போதுமே அட்பார் லெவல் கொடுப்பீங்க. இது வந்து இட் வாஸ் கிரேட் சார். நிறைய ஐ ஓப்பனிங் நீங்க சொன்னதுல வந்து ரெகுலேட்டரி விஷயத்துல as far as கிளைண்ட் இன்ட்ரெஸ்ட்னு சொன்னீங்க இல்லைங்களா, இட்ஸ் ரியலி வந்து இன்னைக்கு இருக்கிற எல்லா எம்எஃப்டியும் இந்த விஷயத்த வந்து கான்சென்ட்ரேட் பண்ணணும். ஸோ இது முரளி சார் கிட்ட நான் நிறைய கத்துருக்கேன். அதே மாதிரி இன்னைக்கு நீங்க சொன்னது டினோட் பண்ணது ரொம்ப ஒரு முக்கியமான விஷயமா நான் பாக்குறேன் சார். தேங்க்யூ ஸோ மச். தேங்க்யூ முரளி சார். தேங்க்யூ
சந்தோஷ். தேங்க்யூ.